What's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon to some out there. It's the Earthmaster here on this Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. It's about 10:55 a.m. California time here along the West Coast. Latest quake shows a 3.0 earthquake striking over here just outside the Himalayas there. We did have some earthquake activity ramping up a couple hours ago, earlier this morning time frame, into the Philippines. Let's go ahead and check out this activity, a 6.4 earthquake, originally coming in as a 6.5, a little bit of downgrade. This struck in the area where we've seen the 7-pointer here. Oh, I think it's been over a month now, a couple months ago, in this area of the Philippines. I can't remember the exact magnitude, but that was definitely a 7-pointer. I'm seeing some aftershock activity today in that same region. It is in an area that does see quite a bit of seismic activity, as noted here on the map. So very active area of the plates here. It's kind of on the western portion of the Philippine plate. Of course, got the Philippine trench that sits down here. Another area that sees quite a bit of earthquake activity. And as noted on the Earthquake 3D globe, we're starting to see a little bit of migration of the pressure out here up against the Himalayas. It's kind of situated right here. It looks like it may have been in China. Let me see exactly where this was at. It's going to be this 4.4. Pakistan, 60 kilometers deep for that 4.4 earthquake just coming in. The latest one there on the map looks like things are probably going to start progressing further west along this area. I know we've seen some movement out in the South Sandwich Trench last night, and a little bit of earthquake activity pretty much everywhere. Broad area of movement, but one thing I haven't really noticed yet is a definite westward pressure movement here, forward movement through this area, and that could be a sign here with that 4.4. Near the Pakistan area. It could just be a little glimpse of what we're about to see. Far as movement overnight goes, aside from the 6.4, some of this other earthquake activity in the Fiji Islands area, some deeper movement overnight. A 4.8, look at that depth there, 628 kilometers deep. And that only adds further strain and pressure up here on these regions, which kind of makes sense there. But also at the same time, depending on how much pressure is built up here, I've got to watch the subduction zones. But the general plate movement here as a whole moves towards the west and northwest and adds a bunch of strain here up against the Philippine plate as this Pacific plate moves to the west-northwest. A little bit of activity near the Tonga area as well. That one pretty deep, 249 kilometers deep for a 4.6. That one coming in just about an hour prior to the 4.8. So sufficient deep movement, allowing for some further strain up along these regions here. And also up here around the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. But that is holding steady. Not a whole lot of release of activity up here yet in that area. There's definitely a lot of built-up pressure, but I guess not enough for some earthquake activity. Nothing further overnight in the South Sandwich Islands area. The South America region is awfully quiet as well. Let's check out the EMSC model and see what we have for data. They're not showing anything down here either, but I'm sure there's some 3s and 2s as we look at the smaller scale here. Definitely some 3s and 2s here, but not as, doesn't look as, the multitudes don't look as high here today. So things are definitely, seemed like they're calming down. They have been calm, but even getting calmer in that area. Some movement up around the Panama area and up into the Middle America Trench, all seeing some microquake activity today. Nothing above 4.0 here currently. Over here in the Puerto Rico area, things a little bit on the active side overnight mostly. In fact, we really haven't seen, there we go, we really haven't seen anything in the past few hours here since about, looks like 4 o'clock in the morning was the last earthquake. Losing my voice here. Alrighty, see what else we got here out along the eastern portion of the country, of the states here. 2.6 out in Virginia. 2.8 kilometers deep at about 2 in the morning my time here. Looks like in the Blue Ridge Mountain areas up against the, looks like the border. Yeah, it's on the Virginia side. Little speck of an earthquake, nothing big. South Carolina pretty quiet. The rest of the country, all, or at least the eastern portion of the country, pretty quiet as well. New Mexico did see some activity. 3.0. Just outside of the Sacramento Mountains, right up against there, there's a fault system that runs up here. And I really haven't seen too much activity up here recently. So kind of interesting to see a little bit of movement up against the mountain range. 5 kilometers deep. Let's see if any folks reported filling that out there. Looks like a few folks living out there in the desert. Maybe one or two. Two, all right. 2 reports on the Did You Fill It reports there. So let's see, what do we got for Wyoming and Yellowstone? Looks like these guys are a little busy adding some quakes up onto the map today, which is good. A little bit of activity at Yellowstone National Park, and one down here south of the Grand Teton area. 2.3. Let me check the Yellowstone overviews here real quick and see what we have for the latest data coming in. And it looks like it's still pretty active this morning. Notice these spikes here indicating some localized earthquake activity. This is going to be the bigger one of the cluster. That's striking, looks like around around the 1 o'clock time frame UTC. Let's see what the USGS is reporting here. Yeah, about 1 o'clock UTC time for that 1.7 noted here on the graph. All these other ones are much smaller, much smaller microquakes. Pacific Northwest, got Mount St. Helens here again, showing some very small microquakes. Hopefully I can keep my voice here. I don't know what's going on. Change of the weather will do that, I suppose. Got down to 43 degrees here last night and left all the windows open, so it got down to about 49 here in the house. A little cold, but we were all bundled up. I wasn't expecting it to get that cold. Too cold to get up out of bed and close the windows. So. Let's see here. Not a whole lot of movement today, it looks like here, at least in the center portion of California. Still seeing some activity in this fault system here, just north of the Garlock Fault shear zone. Looks like a little swarm of activity near the Bodfish area. Some this morning as well, a couple ones and some smaller microquakes in that mix. Right here on the Garlock Fault shear zone near Garlock Road. That'd be kind of cool to drive within that. I was just down there. Was it this year or last year? Last year, a couple years ago, I was looking at, I think it was last year, looking at the Salton Sea Swarm down there, and I was on the Garlock Fault shear zone, the San Andreas Fault, all at the same time down there. But I didn't know you could take that road here. That's kind of cool. There's a railroad too that kind of goes through there. All right, anyway, there's a little bit of earthquake activity, 1.3 and a 0.9, right smack dab on that Garlock Fault shear zone today. Also a little bit of movement south here. Last night, seeing a 1.3 outside of Mojave. A little query blast at a 1.4 magnitude there. And looks like a typical day down in Southern California with the movement on the San Jacinto Fault zone. Also a little activity up against the southern segment of the San Andreas Fault today as well, 2.2. The Big Island, see what we got going on here. Things look a little bit calmer. Not a whole lot of activity. In fact, last earthquake looks like about 6 o'clock this morning, a 2.1 in the Pahala area. Movement up into Alaska as well, but even up there, things are a little on the spotty side, but spread out across the Brooks or the Alaska Range up here. Nothing going on up here around the Brooks Range. Northern Alaska looks pretty quiet for now. So I think what we're seeing is we're trying to get a lot of pressure built up here within this area. I think it may be working its way up here across portions of the Middle East here very soon. And we can kind of follow that trail of pressure transfer, so to speak, within these plates, and just with the general plate movement map here. Let's see if I can find that. Well, we'll do that maybe a little bit later tonight. I don't need to show that every time. But speaking, these plates, the Pacific plate moving west-northwest. Got the areas here to the west that will be under quite a bit of pressure with all the deeper movement, as noted there earlier. Let's see what else we got. Yellowstone swarming a little bit. Trimmer last night was going back and forth here. Still getting used to all the different locations up here of the bookmarks. Trimmer last night was 161 epicenters. Looks like Washington and portions of Oregon there. And we'll check out, just for fun, we'll check out a couple volcanoes here. There's that swarm still continuing around Mount St. Helens, but that's not, I don't think, anything to worry about. The GPS locations there are showing continual gradual decline of the caldera. There's the S waves. You can kind of see those really wavy lines here across the map, across the graph here, from that 6.4 in the Philippines this morning, just a couple hours ago. As far as localized earthquake activity, yeah, there's a little bit, looks like. A couple small specks overnight and this morning time frame, but nothing big. Nothing big whatsoever. What else can we check out? Check out the Newberry volcano down there in Oregon. Sometimes these guys get swarms. And we'll check out the station here around the North Rim area. And nothing within the last few hours. Here's a little bit of, it's hard to tell if this is earthquake activity or some type of wind event. I believe this is a wind event because we've seen a similar thing happen on the a couple of these other stations there at the volcanoes, Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens, all showing this same type of setup here, and they're having a couple low pressure systems rolling through there, which is pretty cool for them. And they have a massive amount of wind to deal with, it looks like, up there, or at least it's coming into the area. Let me see what we got. Look at that, some pretty strong wind gusts up here in that area. 46 knots. I gotta make sure I change my settings here, but yeah, just kind of wanted to show you guys. I wonder if we can go back here on this map. Oh yeah, there we go. So kind of up around the Cascades area, the volcanoes. But even then, this is about 2 in the morning. I wanted to see yesterday because it was pretty windy up here through the areas and the peaks and the volcanoes. Even out there in Oregon as well, they get quite a bit of, or down here around the Newberry volcano, they get sometimes some wind events as well. But very noticeable across the Cascades. And a lot of times that is what is making this type of signature up here. You know, these odd looking readings for a couple hours and then it goes away. Localized earthquake activity is going to look exactly like this here, very spiky. And of course, the bigger they are, the bigger the signature right here will be. But these are earthquakes. Stuff like this is environmental interference, not magma movement. And that is that. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Have a good day. We'll chat at you guys a little bit later tonight. And yeah, see, look at that. We still got another, actually got another 3.0 over here. Or is that the original one? I think that's the original one. Either way, things getting pretty active up against these plate boundaries. Working its way west. We'll keep an eye on it. One earthquake off the coast of Mexico. It looks like fairly new as well, 4.3. Alrighty, guys. Stay safe. We'll catch you a little bit later on tonight. Peace out.